All right, good morning, everyone. We want to say thank you for you all being here with us today and welcome to week 2 of our Spring Wellness webinar series. Today's focus, of course, we're focused on tobacco prevention. We want to say a quick thank you to Miss Tony Swavely from the Sullivan County Health Department for doing our presentation with us today. A few housekeeping things before we get started. Any questions that anyone has, if you don't mind to place those in the chat box, it should be in your tool panel on the right-hand side. It should be the last option under chat. Miss Tony will be able to get to those after her presentation. So as she goes along, if you have some questions, just include it in the chat box and we'll talk about those at the end. Also at the end of our presentation today, we'll be sending out a link to a survey. We request for y'all just to take 1 to 2 minutes to complete that survey. Any class that we teach, just through our grant, we're required to ask for feedback, and we would love to get your thoughts on how things go today. So if you all wouldn't mind just to take a couple minutes and fill out that survey at the end, that would be amazing. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Miss Tony. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Megan. I'm really happy to be here today. I wanted to let everyone know that our Baby Me Tobacco-Free Program Coordinator, Marsha Clark, was also supposed to be here today, but she was unfortunately unable to make it. So I'm going to be presenting her portion of the presentation as well. So let's just go ahead and get started. My name is Tony Swavely. I'm the Tobacco Prevention Coordinator for Sullivan County Regional Health Department. And my presentation today is going to be about COVID-19 and special considerations for users of tobacco and vape products. What we're going to cover today are the effects of tobacco and vape use on lung health and COVID-19 risks for smokers and vape users. We're going to talk about the benefits of quitting now and what kind of resources are available for those who would like help quitting. And then at the end of my presentation, I'm going to also talk about ways to reduce stress, because that's the #1 reason that people give me for why they use tobacco and vape products. So I'm going to help you find healthier ways to reduce your stress and teach you a little quick breathing exercise. And then afterwards, I'll get into Marsha's presentation about the Baby Me Tobacco-Free Program, which helps pregnant smokers quit. Okay, so first we're going to cover some tobacco-related statistics and talk a little bit about tobacco-related mortality. Tobacco is the #1 cause of preventable death in the United States. It's the #1 cause of cancer, the #1 cause of cardiovascular disease, and the #1 cause of respiratory disease. The #1 thing that people can do in order to maintain their health is to avoid all tobacco product use, and that includes vapes. So each year we lose almost 500,000 people due to tobacco-related illnesses. That is more than AIDS, cocaine, heroin, alcohol, vehicular accidents, homicide, and suicide combined. And we also know that the life expectancy for smokers is at least 10 years shorter than for non-smokers. But the good news is that if you quit smoking before you turn 40, you reduce your risk of dying from smoking-related disease by about 90%. So it's never too late to quit smoking. Now, we also have some implications for people who do not smoke but are exposed to the secondhand smoke of others. Secondhand smoke is the smoke that comes off of the cigarette itself, and it's also the air that the whatever comes out of the lungs of the person who is smoking. So that itself, out of those almost 500,000 people a year that die, 41,000 of those deaths are due to secondhand smoke exposure from people who've never inhaled an actual cigarette in their life. 7,333 of those deaths come from lung cancer, and then heart disease is responsible for over 33,000 of those deaths. We don't know as much about vaping as we do about tobacco. Tobacco has been around for a very, very long time. We have many, many studies about it. We've been studying it for many decades, but vaping is new to the market. It just came to the United States in 2006, and it was created in China by a pharmacist over there who was trying to develop a way to quit smoking. So he used the vapes, or sometimes termed e-cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, to help him quit smoking. Unfortunately, he actually became a dual user, so he's never able to actually quit smoking, but now he vapes and uses cigarettes together. But what we do know about vaping is that it is possibly less harmful than smoking, but it is still not safe. There's not as the same kind of tar build up in the lungs that there is with smoking, but there are some pretty nasty chemicals in it. And research has shown us that there are negative effects on the heart and lungs from vaping due to some of those chemicals. So if you've never smoked or used other tobacco products or e-cigarettes, don't start. We also know that they're just as addictive as cigarettes, and they aren't the best cessation tool, though they may be helpful to some adults. They're definitely not safe for youth, young adults, or pregnant women, or adults who do not currently use tobacco products. And additional research can help understand long-term health effects, and that's just going to take time. So some of the dangerous chemicals that are in vapes include nicotine, which is used as an insecticide. It is very toxic to the system. 2 teaspoonsful of the e-liquids is enough to kill a small child. It is a stimulant. It increases the heart rate, increases the blood pressure, and also constricts the blood vessels. So it makes it really hard on the vascular system. It has another chemical in there called propylene glycol, and that's combined with vegetable glycerin, and those are also toxic to cells. Then you have ultrafine particles. You have flavorings such as diacetyl. Some people pronounce it diacetyl. It's tomato or tomato, whichever one you want to say. And that chemical is linked to a serious lung disease called popcorn lung. And then you also have volatile organic chemicals, or compounds. VOCs is what most people call them, and those are cancer-causing. And then there are other cancer-causing chemicals, and as well as heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. And those heavy metals will build up in the system, and they can take decades to get out of your system once you're exposed to them. Vaping also has secondhand emissions, although they do generally contain fewer toxic chemicals than smoke from regular cigarettes. But the aerosol is not harmless. They are marketed as being just water vapor, but that's not accurate. The only thing that makes water vapor is water. And so vaping actually contains particulate matter, and what that is actually an aerosol. Kind of like the difference between hot steaming water, that's water vapor, and then hairspray, that would be an aerosol. So it's 2 totally different things. So the secondhand emissions from vaping will include those same VOCs, the heavy metals, the diacetyl, the ultrafine particles, and some polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. And then also there's a little bit of nicotine expelled into the air as well. So back to cigarettes. What we know about cigarettes is that it damages lungs. It damages the 2 main parts of your lungs. So it damages the airways, which are the bronchial tubes, and the air sacs, which is the alveoli. And you can see in the illustration there some of the parts of the lungs that we're going to be talking about, and specifically, we're going to talk about the mucociliary elevator or escalator, as some people call it. So the way that works is with each breath, air will travel down your windpipe, which is called your trachea, and it enters your lungs through the bronchial tubes. Air then moves into those thousands of tiny alveoli, which are small air sacs deep inside your lungs, where the oxygen from the air moves into your bloodstream, and then the waste product, which is carbon dioxide, moves out of your bloodstream. And then you have these tiny hair-like particles, projections that are called cilia, and those line your bronchial tubes and sweep harmful substances up out of your lungs through the mucus elevator. Cigarette smoke is an irritant to the lining of your bronchial tubes, causing them to swell and make more mucus. Cigarette smoke slows the movement of your cilia, and it causes some of the smoke and mucus to stay inside your lungs. Now, while you're sleeping, you're taking an 8-hour break from tobacco, and your lungs are immediately trying to start heal themselves. So some of the cilia do recover, and then they start pushing more of the pollutants and the mucus up out of your lungs. So that when you wake up, your body is going to attempt to expel that material by coughing repeatedly, and that's a condition known as smoker's cough. Now, over time, the chronic bronchitis develops as your cilia stop working completely, and your airway is going to become clogged with scars and mucus. And that's when breathing becomes difficult. Your lungs are now more vulnerable to further disease. Cigarette smoke also damages your alveoli, making it harder for oxygen and carbon dioxide to exchange in your blood. Over time, so little oxygen can reach your blood that you may develop emphysema, which is a condition in which you have to gasp for breath and wear an oxygen mask under your nose in order to breathe. Chronic bronchitis and emphysema are collectively known as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD. COPD is a gradual loss of the ability to breathe, and there's no cure for it. It's estimated that anywhere between 10 and 20% of smokers will develop COPD. There's also an immune response. So cigarette smoke contains over 7,000 chemicals, and many of those interfere with the immune system and can make the body less successful at fighting diseases. Smoking throws off the balance of the immune system, which increases the risk for several immune and autoimmune disorders, such as rheumatoid arthritis. Other diseases are able to progress when the immune system is not working effectively, such as cancer. Smokers have a higher rate of bacterial and viral infections due to this immune system effect, especially of the lungs, such as pneumonia, influenza, and tuberculosis. And as I mentioned earlier, there are over 7,000 chemicals. There's also the carbonaceous material that forms tar when combusted tobacco is inhaled. Under that heavy burden of foreign material in the lungs, you have defense cells that are called macrophages that are deployed to the lungs in order to eat up the stuff that isn't caught by the mucus elevator, which is damaged from smoking in the bronchi and the epithelia. You can see those over here in the illustration. So the macrophages release chemical mediators that cause neutrophils to come into the lungs, and these neutrophils will release toxic substances to try to kill the foreign invaders. But if there's too much and the neutrophils release too much of the toxic substance, then that will also damage the lung tissues and the elastin that makes the lungs pliable, and that is part of what leads to emphysema. Smoking also directly exposes the epithelial tissue to at least 60 powerful chemical carcinogens with the potential to cause DNA damage to the larynx, the bronchi, and the epithelial cells. Nicotine is another toxic and highly addictive alkaloid with an affinity to the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, which are found on the surface of these epithelial cells. So there's actually some research that nicotine itself might play a direct role in the pathogenesis of lung cancer and in COPD. Okay, and so here in this illustration, you can see the SARS-CoV-2, which is just another name for COVID-19, and how it's got the little spikes on the ends, and then you can see a healthy cell, and it has ACE2 receptors. So what happens here is that the spikes on the COVID-19 are thought to interact with the ACE2 receptors, which is part of the system that helps regulate blood pressure. The COVID-19 uses the ACE2 receptors to infiltrate the healthy lung cells. That's how it attaches and comes inside. So the people who smoke actually have more ACE2 receptors, which is why they're more likely to have high blood pressure, and it also makes them much more susceptible to COVID-19 than the rest of the population. So there you've got two ways that smokers are more susceptible: the increased ACE2 receptors along with the impaired immune response and the inflammation that comes with that. And then there's a third factor, and that's the adverse effects of nicotine. So besides being toxic, nicotine is a stimulant at low doses, as we said. It increases heart rate, increases blood pressure, and constricts those blood vessels, which then causes them to stiffen. Over time, they lose their elasticity as well and will remain constricted and then become clogged with debris and plaque, especially those smaller blood vessels. They're the first ones to take the brunt of it. The COVID-19 also affects the vascular function of the lungs, so you've got a double whammy there with the two. And when the virus enters, it interferes with the blood vessels, especially the small pulmonary arteries, just like nicotine does. The COVID-19 patients who decline have shown to have changes in their blood, suggesting that there's a problem with the coagulation system. It's blood clotting, which causes micro blood clots to clog up the lungs and contribute to even more damage. And that could cause low blood pressure and heart failure in those patients. So if your blood vessels have already been damaged by cigarette smoking, you're much more susceptible to those micro blood clots in your lungs. For vape users, while vapes don't have all the carbonaceous material turning to tar like the combustible cigarettes do, they do still contain some pretty nasty chemicals. And many of those same chemicals, plus some different ones that are present in cigarette smoke, are also present in vapes. So vape users likely will have some kind of immune dysfunction, which, as we discussed earlier, can make one more susceptible to infection. And then there's some adverse effects from the nicotine as well. And some vape products will actually contain a higher dose of nicotine than others. Juul is a specific one that has a high level of nicotine in it. Some vapes or e-cigarettes they will claim to be nicotine free, but we have evidence that that is not always the case. Vapes and e-cigarettes are all unregulated right now, so they don't have to put in them exactly what they say is in them. And some quality control tests done by independent researchers on a lot of different brands that have been on the market have shown varying levels of nicotine, even for products that have been labeled nicotine free. So you're not always, you can't always be certain what you're getting with vape products, especially at this moment until they become regulated. So the full effects of vaping is unknown, and we definitely need more research. So the bottom line with COVID-19 and smoking and vaping is that both smoking and vaping are harmful to your health. They both affect your respiratory system, and they both weaken your immune system. If you smoke or vape, you're more likely to get sick. If you're sick, then you're more likely to have severe effects, and you're more likely to spread the virus. So now, especially, would be a great time for you to think about quitting. But okay, so why exactly should you quit now? You've been smoking for years. What's the benefit of quitting right now? So we can't say for sure, but we do know that quitting will help flatten the curve, because it's going to help you become less susceptible to the infection, number one. And then, of course, we don't have the research that we need, but hypothetically, we believe that the endothelial cells will recover very quickly, the mucus elevator will recover, and then the ACE2 receptors will be reduced when you quit. And what we do know about healing after you quit is that healing is very quick, and it starts the moment that you stop smoking. 20 minutes, let me go back here. So even if you've smoked for many years, you can reverse the effects and experience health benefits from the first hours after you stop smoking all the way up to decades after you quit. So 20 minutes, your blood pressure and your pulse will start to normalize. After 8 hours, carbon monoxide level normalizes and your oxygen in your blood increases. After 24 hours, your heart attack risk decreases due to the reduced constriction of your blood vessels and the increased oxygen going to your heart. And then also your nicotine level is reduced. In 48 hours, those previously damaged nerve endings will start to regrow, which will help you smell things and taste better. 72 hours, your breathing becomes easier because the bronchial tubes relax. They open up more, which allows for increased lung capacity. After 7 days of being quit, this is the key here. So smokers who successfully make it 1 week are 9 times as likely to successfully quit. And the chances of quitting smoking for good increase with every attempt. It takes the average smoker about 8 tries before they're able to finally quit for good. So even if you're not able to quit the first time, the more you practice it, the easier it's going to become and the more likely you are to remain quit. And I always say that quitting is a practice. It's not an event. It's not something that usually you do once and then you're done. A lot of people have to practice. So if you can make it for 1 week, you can make it for a lifetime. All of the nicotine is out of your system after 3 days, and after that, your cravings will start to diminish. And it gets easier and easier the longer that you remain quit. 2 weeks after you quit, you may find that walking is easier, and that's due to increased circulation and oxygenation. Lung function will increase as much as 30% after 2 weeks. And then 1 month after quitting, you're going to have more energy. You might experience less sinus congestion and shortness of breath, and that's due to having healthier lungs. And then the benefits just continue from there. Like I said, all the way up to decades after you quit, you still get benefits because your body is always trying to heal itself. So ask yourself, are you ready to quit? And if you are, we've got some resources for you. You can call the Tennessee Tobacco Quit line. The number is 1-800-QUIT-NOW or 1-800-784-8669. You can also enroll online at tnquitline.org. And with this program, it's free. You are assigned a quit counselor who will coach you through the program and be there whenever you need. You'll receive calls from your quit coach who will help you make your plan to quit and give you tips and guidance on how you can stay quit. They will also give you 2 weeks of free smoking cessation products, and that's usually the patches or the gum. And you can call them as many times as you like, even if you mess up. and relapse, they're still there for you. So you can work through the program there. And then also, if you're trying to quit, by yourself or with the quit line, you still have smokefree.gov, and that website is full of all kinds of tips, tricks, articles. They have an app. They have all kinds of stuff on that website, smokefree.gov. I highly recommend that you check that out. So, the number one thing that I hear from smokers is that they use tobacco products or vape products in order to reduce stress. And of course, with everything that's going on right now, everybody is really wound up. There's a lot of stress out there. So, what I want to talk about now is how to relax, how to reduce your stress in a healthier way than using smoking or vaping. So, what we know is that smoking, the nicotine in it is not actually a relaxant. So a lot of what you're feeling when you feel better after you use nicotine products is the addiction cycle, which is completely different than actual relaxation in the body. Nicotine is a stimulant. Of course, you're going to get your heart rate up, your blood pressure goes up every time you use or inhale any kind of smoke or vape, anything with nicotine in it. And then your blood vessels are going to constrict. So your body's actually having to work harder, and that is actually a stress on your body. So you're not actually relaxed. A better way to relax would be to quit smoking so that you can experience true relaxation, and then find a fun distraction that will help you get through those cravings. And it could be anything that you can do for 5 to 10 minutes until that craving passes, such as play a game on your phone. You can download some Candy Crush or Sudoku or something like that. And then every time you get a craving, pull out your phone, play that game for 5 to 10 minutes until that craving passes, and then go on about your day. That craving is going to pass whether you smoke or not. So you have to decide, are you going to practice addiction, or are you going to practice becoming a non-smoker? So when you smoke, you actually reinforce the addiction behavior. That nicotine hits your brain, you get a rush of dopamine, and that's why you feel good when you're using tobacco. And it seems like you're reducing your stress, but you're actually not. So when you practice becoming a non-smoker, then you reinforce pathways in your brain that negate that addiction and help you become a better non-smoker, if that makes sense. So every time you get a craving, decide, am I going to be a non-smoker? Am I going to be addicted to nicotine? And then find your distraction that will help you get through that. And your cravings are only going to last between 5 and 10 minutes. And every day that you spend as a non-smoker is going to lessen those cravings. They're going to get weaker and weaker and weaker until finally you get a craving and you're like, and it'll be it. You'll be done. So another good thing that you can do is to breathe deep into your belly. So if you can sit up in your seat, get your spine straight, and then inhale. And as you inhale, you're going to see your belly expand. And you can put your hand on your belly just to feel the belly rise. Make sure that you're breathing deeply enough. Because a lot of times as we get stressed, we start to breathe in a shallow way. So the breath only goes to our chest. Chest rises and falls. That's called shallow breathing. What you actually want to see is your belly rising and falling. And that's when you know that you're breathing deeply enough. And the other positive thing with this kind of breathing is that it enhances your lung capacity. And strengthening the lungs would be especially important now with the damage that COVID-19 causes on the lungs. So anytime that you can practice deep belly breathing or any other kind of breathing techniques that you might find, those are going to help put you into what we call the rest and digest space, and that is where you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is true relaxation. So your body when you're relaxed, it's going to have a better time healing. That's why sleep is so important when you get sick. It's because it puts you in a state of true relaxation. That's the rest and digest, where you digest your food, your cells rest, your body's able to clear out toxins and heal what needs to be healed and focus on that healing work. And when you're stressed and you're breathing in that shallow way, then your body's not able to do the type of healing that it needs to do. It's focused on the stress response. So practice that deep belly breathing, and we'll do a little exercise here in just a couple minutes that will help you. Another good thing to do would be to visualize any place that makes you feel good. It could be anything. So pick your favorite place, your happy place, whatever it is, and just take a few minutes to close your eyes, connect with that deep belly breathing, and then see yourself in that place and feel those feelings that you would feel, and really go to that space for just a few minutes. And then when you come back, you're going to feel a little bit better. Another thing is to locate tension in your body. Do a little body scan and see, where am I holding the stress? Where am I tense? Might be in your shoulders, might be in your lower back, could be in your chest. See where it is. And then in order to release that, a good thing to do would be to move your body. So if you've got tension in your chest or in your back, you can spread your arms and inhale deeply and then release that. You can go for a walk. You can do a little bit of yoga, anything that'll get your body moving. One thing that people like to do is turn on some music and dance. It helps get your mind off of everything. Music is a very powerful mood enhancer. It can also kind of down your mood depending on what kind of music you're listening to, but find something that you like. It could be classical, it could be dance music, whatever it is. Turn some music on, move your body however you want to, dance like no one's watching, all that. And then if you need a little extra help with releasing tension or getting calmed down, you can take a warm shower. That's always good. You could get a massage, maybe not right now with our social distancing, but if you have a family member that you live with who could, work on your shoulders a little bit or whatever, then try something like that. Or you could do a self-massage. That would be a good thing also. To help deal with emotions, you could talk about it. You could do a little Skype session with someone, a trusted friend. You can talk to a family member, or you could just write it out. But be mindful what you write, that you're not writing things that people could read that would be embarrassing or hurtful or anything like that. So if you write those kinds of things, make sure you destroy whatever you're writing. We want to maintain our relationships if we can. And then also hydration is great for everything. The more water you drink, the better off your cells are. It also helps with healing the body, flushing everything out. And when you're trying to quit, especially, you can replace your caffeinated beverages with water. So there's research that shows that caffeine it can trigger cravings for nicotine. So I know it's hard to quit two things at one time, but while you're quitting, just for, a couple of weeks, you could maybe not drink as much caffeine. And then always sleep is a good idea. Anytime that you're under a lot of stress, maybe take an extra nap or go to bed early or sleep late if you can. But any kind of extra sleep that you can get, that just helps your body relax and process things and start the healing process. So now I've got a little video for you. And this is box breathing. So it's a 4-count breath. What happens, and the video is going to coach you through this, but I'm going to talk you through it quickly at first. You're going to inhale for 4 counts, hold that inhale for another 4 counts, and then exhale for 4 counts, and then hold the exhale for 4 counts. So that's what's called box breathing. You've got 4 counts on every aspect of it. So Find yourself a comfortable position. Sit up straight. Remember that deep belly breathing we're talking about. Breathe in deep enough that your belly rises and falls during this. And if any time you feel dizzy or uncomfortable, please stop and return to your normal breathing. Okay, so started. Whoops. And that's not going to work. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry about that. My video is having technical difficulties, so I'll just guide you through it. Okay, so sit up straight in your chair. You can put your hands on your belly if you'd like. You can lean back if you like, however you're feeling comfortable. So you're going to inhale a deep breath. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. We'll do another couple of rounds. So inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Now inhale. Return to your normal breathing. To do a quick scan really quickly, that was a very quick little breathing session. You can continue that as long as you're comfortable. But notice if there's any change in maybe your mood or your body, how you feel. And a lot of people will report because you're getting a lot of extra oxygen with the deep breathing, and that's going to help enhance your mood and make you feel a little better. Plus, it activates that parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest response, and there should be some kind of positive improvement with that. Now, there are other breathing techniques that you can use, and YouTube is full of them, so you can just kind of go on YouTube and do a search for those and find all different kinds of things. YouTube is a really good resource for relaxation. There's music on there, and there's guided meditations that you can do, the breathing exercises, yoga. There's plenty of yoga on there. So I recommend searching YouTube for ways to relax. And that's all I have for my presentation. And now we will move on to Marsha Clark's presentation. We're going to talk about the Baby Me Tobacco Free program. So this program is specifically for pregnant smokers who would like to quit. So, and the one thing that we tell everyone is that quitting smoking is the most important thing that you can do for the health of your baby, for your health and the health of your baby. So, how many pregnant moms actually use tobacco? In the United States, more than 7 out of every 100 moms are tobacco users. In Tennessee, we have more than 12 out of every 100 moms using tobacco. So that's significantly higher than the U.S. average. And specifically in Sullivan County, it's almost twice that, or it is twice that. It's 24 out of 100 moms will use tobacco. So we have very high rates here in Sullivan County. And the effects of tobacco are on the baby both during pregnancy and after delivery. So during pregnancy, when the mom uses tobacco, it increases the risk for really negative outcomes like miscarriage, stillbirth, got preterm labor, ectopic pregnancies, and then serious problems with the placenta, with placenta previa and placental abruption. And then after delivery, there's also an increased risk for low birth weight, different kinds of birth defects of the mouth and the lips, tissue damage in the lung and the brain. It's one of the major causes for sudden infant death syndrome, or as it's now called, sudden unexplained infant death. Um, it's a huge cause of asthma, ear infections, bronchitis, and pneumonia in your young ones. And then the tobacco effect on the baby will usually include higher levels of carbon monoxide um, for mom and baby, and that lowers levels of oxygen for both. And then the nicotine, remember, it constricts the blood vessels, so that causes plaque buildup in the umbilical cord also, and constricts the blood vessels and reduces the space available for the blood to flow to the baby. So the baby is not getting all the oxygen and nutrients that another child would whose mom does not smoke. And then we have the poisonous chemicals that are in tobacco are also carried through the bloodstream and delivered directly to the baby. So the Baby and Me Tobacco Free program can help the moms who quit tobacco to quit and stay quit. And the way the program works is that you have one-on-one sessions to provide education, tools, and resources that are needed to attack the urges and implement strategies that are proven to help. We usually do carbon monoxide monitoring during these sessions, but they've been deferred during the COVID-19 pandemic in order to reduce exposure, because we have a little monitor they have to blow on, so we're not using that right now. You come in for 4 prenatal sessions, and then you have 12 postpartum sessions once a month. So during your 4 prenatal sessions, we ask that you be quit by the 3rd session. So you'll have two sessions to help you get started, and then when you come in for the 3rd session, we start testing for the carbon monoxide, the CO, usually, but not right now. And then when you make it to your 3rd prenatal session and your carbon monoxide levels are lower than the limit that we've set for tobacco use, then you're going to earn a $25 diaper or wipe voucher. And if you have a partner who would like to join with you, someone that lives with you, it could be a spouse, any kind of relative, anyone who lives with you who is a smoker who would like to join you in quitting smoking and support you through that process, they can also join the program with you, and that's one person. So just one person plus the mom per the household can join. And then if that person comes in and tests under the limit for CO, then you'll get a second $25 voucher that you can use to purchase diapers or wipes. So who qualifies for this program? You've got pregnant and daily tobacco users anytime during the pregnancy. You can come in anytime that you decide you're pregnant and you want to quit smoking. You can come right on in, and we'll get you set up on the program. Or if you have been a tobacco user and you've quit 3 months prior to becoming pregnant, you can still join the program. And we do have documented outcomes for this program. So in Tennessee, more than 31% of the moms who participated in at least 3 sessions were able to stop smoking. In Sullivan County, we've had even better results. So 70% of the women who have participated in at least 3 of these sessions have stopped using tobacco. And then, of course, there's the reduced risk for low birth weight infants that has been shown through this program. and then 50% of the enrolled participants in Sullivan County who have attended postpartum sessions and remained tobacco-free after have remained tobacco-free after their delivery. So we've had a huge amount of success with this program. We see that it works, and we encourage all moms who are pregnant and smoking, who are even thinking about quitting, to come on in and get started. So for more info about the program, you can call Marcia Clark. She's our program facilitator, and her number is 423-279-7557. And she works in between both of our campuses. We have a site here in Blountville, which is 154 Blountville Pie Pass, and then our Kingsport site is at 1041 East Sullivan Street in Kingsport. So that's all I have for you today. I will now open this up to any questions if anyone has anything. You can also utilize the chat box. Okay, well, if there's no questions, then I will turn this back over to Megan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony, for going through all of that. I think that was amazing. So thank you for sharing all the information with everyone today. As I said before, I'm going to be sending out a survey in the chat box right now. If y'all wouldn't mind just to take a minute to complete that, that would be super helpful for us, just to get feedback on the class and what you thought. That would be amazing. So thank you, Tony, again for everything today. And if anyone's interested, next week we're going to be covering violence prevention and awareness. So please join us next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And we hope to see everyone there. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.